Hi, everyone. All right.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, you're at the right session? All right, cool. So, I'm Salim. I go by Sal. So, nice to meet you guys. All right, so we're going to talk about, I'm just here to talk about migrating and managing your sites on your own cloud provider. How many of you guys manage your sites on your own cloud provider? AWS, Azure, DigitalOcean. Okay. How many have How many have thought about doing it? Okay. All right. Okay. So you might find this useful. All right. So what I'll show you today, you can actually you can make branches, you can pretty much do whatever you're doing today on other platforms. You can take different branches, you can create feature branches, you can do all the things that you would normally expect to do in a Git flow environment or whatever workflow you're using, and do it in your own cloud provider environment, okay? You can create dev stage prod environments. You can use a cloud IDE in a browser. You can do auto-scaling clusters, or you can deploy to VPSs. So all of this stuff, it's not that difficult if you know what to do, and we'll talk about how to do it. So before we start or go into anything, some of the stuff that I'll talk about is done through DevPanel. That's my company. And so just a disclaimer, what DevPanel does is it gives you a dashboard. It allows you to host all kinds of applications on your own platforms. So there's a free account. You can use it as well. It's a SaaS dashboard like you're familiar with. It connects your own hosting to it. So, all right, so the three ways that we're going to talk about is do it yourself. On Amazon Lightsail, on DigitalOcean and Cloudways, or through Cloudways on any platform. I also added one more Amazon way, which is on Amazon clusters using their reference architecture, so you'll see that as well. Using Drupal Forge, this is a new service that we deployed. It's free to use, it's community service. And this is for Drupal CMS, Starshot, Drupal 7 through, Drupal 11 here, Backdrop, CVCRM, and you can deploy your prod sites on your own servers and clusters. And DevPanel, this is not free, but I'll talk about that as well. There is a free account, but for doing clusters, there's a paid account as well. Okay. So for doing it yourself, there's plenty of options available. So the main options are like going to Lightsail, going to AWS, going through EC2. Are you guys familiar with what EC2 is? They're elastic. Everybody's nodding. So elastic compute servers, and they can actually, Amazon has a reference architecture. They have a recipe that you can, speaking of recipes, they have their own recipes that you can run. They'll actually set up all the servers for you. And then I say recipes, but it's like CloudFormation scripts. And then DigitalOcean has servers. You can create VPSs and deploy to it. And then to deploy to most of these VPSs or servers, when I say VPSs, are you guys familiar with what that is? So VPSs stands for Virtual Private Servers, and that is essentially what you're buying when you go to different hosting companies. So the process is you go get a VPS, you create a Drupal site on it, and then the easiest thing to do is if you're migrating a site, you use Backup and Migrate. To connect a domain to that site, whenever you get a VPS or a site from provider, they'll give you an IP address or a CNAME that you can connect to it. But essentially, you go get Cloudflare, and Cloudflare gives you a CDN. You guys know what a CDN is? What is a CDN?
Content Delivery Network.
Content Delivery Network. So Content Delivery Network accelerates your site. It actually caches all your static pages and gives you what protection? WAF. It gives you WAF. So what is WAF? You guys know what WAF is? The web. Okay, all together. Web application firewall. And then it also gives you what type of other protection does it give you?
DDoS.
DDoS protection. And DDoS is
Distributed
denial of service. Yeah, very good. Okay, cool. You guys all pass. So we always recommend, for our clients, we always recommend using Cloudflare or something similar as a CDN on top of your sites. And with the Cloudflare, not only does it allow you to easily map your custom URL to your server, but it gives you all these other features as well. So you get the CDN, you get the DDoS protection, and the WAF. And then once you do that, you change your DNS basically to get your site. So this is your do-it-yourself formula for setting things up. On Lightsail, it's very easy if you want to set up Drupal on a Lightsail server. It's very easy. And as cheap as $5 a month. Yeah. Question?
What's the difference between a Lightsail and an EC2 or what do they call that thing?
Elastic compute, something. Yeah. So good question. So Lightsail is Amazon Web Services, AWS's answer to DigitalOcean and Linode. So Amazon could not compete with their offering because they were so high-end. The EC2, the regular AWS suite of services and servers are priced higher, much higher than your traditional DigitalOcean and Linode services. Okay? So they needed to create something that was cheaper and simpler and lower priced.
Okay.
So what they've done is they've taken their old servers, okay, which are slower, and they've offered that as under the Lightsail brand, okay, and they've put a simpler UI on top of that. Okay. So it's for the general use, and you take the old servers and you sell them for less price, and now they can compete with DigitalOcean and they can compete with Linode and the other lower end providers.
I think it is actually EC2 under the hood.
It is all EC2 under the
There's a
hood.
button there where you convert it to EC2. It's like, this is, I want to pay more button.
I haven't seen that button. Is there a button there? Yeah. Okay.
That's what it means.
Okay. Yeah, and it's you're probably right, because you can actually connect it to all the other AWS services on the back end, but you can buy that server for very cheap. So if you're just buying a server and you're going to deploy your site on a server, I would recommend going with Amazon Lightsail instead of EC2, because if you're going to put a CDN on top, it's going to speed up things anyways. Okay? And Lightsail is much easier to maintain and manage and so on. So this is how you do it on a Lightsail. You select the Linux server here, you select Drupal, and you're off and running. Okay? It'll go through the process. It's got a nice wizard, and you can't go wrong. Okay. If you want an auto-scaling cluster on AWS, okay, it's a different story. So they've got this thing. If you just search for reference architecture, AWS reference architecture, okay, you'll get to a page like this. I've put in the URL here. There is a recipe. They call it their cloud. What is it called? I said it earlier. Cloud formation script. Okay, so they have the CloudFormation script. If you guys have you guys heard of Terraform? Yeah, Terraform. So Terraform, CloudFormation is very similar to Terraform that sets up infrastructure for you. Okay? So it's supposed to set up the infrastructure for you. Having said that, okay, so it's supposed to be a one-click thing, but they have like, do this, do this, do this. Having said that, I've known people who have struggled for it. It's taken them months to do this. Okay, so just heads up. It can take a while, but you can set this up. The problem I have with this is not just the setup, which is the CloudFormation setup. The problem with this is that you need a degree to manage this infrastructure, right? So you need like Amazon's, sysadmin certificate to manage this type of stuff. So that's the only issue with this that I see. But it's a fine architecture, and it's auto scaling, and it's should serve you well. So, okay. Questions about that? Okay, next slide. DigitalOcean. How many people use DigitalOcean? Have heard of DigitalOcean? Okay, well, good number of folks here. DigitalOcean is one of my favorite providers. Okay, we used to run our demo environments on AWS. Our bill was, for the demo environment, our bill was in thousands of dollars. Thousands, right? We moved to DigitalOcean from AWS to DigitalOcean. Our bill is now in the hundreds of dollars. Okay, so, and it's faster. Okay, that's the difference, and it's faster. So I'm a big fan of DigitalOcean. What we don't get is all the certification. So Amazon has FedRAMP, FERPA, all the, HIPAA, and thank you, and all the different, like every single certification that you can imagine, right, Amazon has. And because, like, if we run customers hosting in their account, they automatically get all the certification because everything's running in their account. Okay? Now, if we take this and we run this in customers' DigitalOcean account, they don't get any of that. Right? It runs faster, it's much cheaper, but they don't get any of the certifications. So if you need those certifications, you have to go to Amazon. And Amazon Lightsail does not have those certifications. So you have to go to Amazon proper. Yeah.
Aren't the certifications, though, kind of a misnomer, though, as well? Because you could still set up Drupal wrong, and you could still have an insecure hosting provider.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Certification
100%.
is only a part of the solution to anything.
Absolutely. So very good point, okay? So with the certification, there's a whole checklist of things that you have to do, right? And if you don't do those right, the certification is useless. Drupal can run in a FedRAMP environment, right? But Drupal itself is not like FedRAMP compliant. The compliance comes from the environment that you're running in. So you take an application, you put it in this environment, but if you screw up that environment, right? You open up all the ports and you do this and you do that, right? If you screw up that environment, you can be in that environment that can be FedRAMP compliant or HIPAA compliant, but you can screw up that environment and all that compliance goes out the door, right? So you have to, and that's why all these compliance have, you have to actually do testing of those environments on a regular basis to make sure that your environment is compliant. So all these, very good point. So whenever you're running in a compliant, regulated environment, you have to do testing. You have to do testing on a regular basis to make sure that your environment, not just your Drupal site, but your entire environment is compliant. So that's a big cost of doing it. Yeah. Questions? Any questions? No? Okay. DigitalOcean, again, one of my favorite places to host things, inexpensive and fast. Their customer support sucks. I have never had a good experience with their customer support, but they're fabulous hosting. But they don't have a one-click deployment. Okay? Neither does Linode. I don't think Linode does it. I don't use Linode very often, but do people here use Linode? Okay, does Linode have a one-click installation for Drupal? I don't think they do, right? No, right? Okay. Most of them have it for WordPress, but they don't have it for Drupal. Okay, so this is the one that I recommend, that if you guys want something that's simple, that's easy to install, there's a service called Cloudways. Okay? That's that you can use, and you can select your provider from here. Linode is here, AWS, DigitalOcean. That V is, I forget what it is, but it's very popular. Google Cloud, and then you can select what platform you want, and then click, 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 and you've got it running. The issue here is that you're paying Cloudways. They are buying the server for you, so you don't own that server. Cloudways owns that server. Yeah? And you're paying a markup to Cloudways. It's not a big markup, but you don't own that server. Yeah? So that's the only drawback, I think. Because if I'm on the other side of that transaction, as a user, I want to be able to own that server. Yeah. All right. So now that you've got your server set up, the next thing is you want Cloudflare. Yeah. Cloudflare, there's a free plan. How many people here use Cloudflare? Okay, quite a lot. Cloudflare is a CDN. How many people use the free plan on Cloudflare? Okay, perfect. Cloudflare has a fabulous free plan. It is just amazing. On the free plan, you have a lot of services on the free plan. So you can pretty much run, if it's a small site, you can run a small site on the free plan. If it's a business site, I think their business plans start at like $20 a month or something like that, which is extremely reasonable compared to what you're getting, right? So it's very easy to set up. You type in your DNS record, it's A-type, type in your domain name, point it to the IP address of the server, and you say, okay, this is proxied, meaning, yep, Cloudflare is in charge of it, and so on. So easy to set up. Instructions are there. Wizards are there. Highly recommended. Gives you a lot of stuff. Okay, any questions? Once you're done with this, your website should be rocking. Okay, that's it. This is DIY. Yes?
One more point. Cloudflare probably has the cheapest domain name registration I've ever seen.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, I usually go through GoDaddy. What's Cloudflare's rate? Do you know?
My .com is like $9 a year.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's basically cost.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. I go through GoDaddy, and I have like their club membership domain. I own a lot of domains, so I have a club membership, which I pay for, and then I get it at cost. But yeah, that's good to know. I did not know that. Okay. By the way, AWS does that too. They give you the domains at cost as well.
You can register domains?
Yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but AWS, you can register domains, and they give you the certificates for free as well, if you're hosting with them, if you're hosting the sites with them. Yeah.
Does Cloudflare do the certificate?
I'm sorry? Cloudflare?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they do
That was
certificate?
right. So that was the one thing I forgot to mention, is they do SSL certificates for free as well.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all included in their free package. All of that is included. You don't have to worry about any of that. Okay? So that's why it's all of our customers, we highly recommend it. Most of them, we don't even ask them, we just set it up for them. So. All right. Okay, any questions on this? Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Drupal Forge. We've set this up. This is a group of people that set it up, are involved with it from the Drupal community. It's set up as a nonprofit. Luke is on our board as well, so say hi, Luke. And the back end of it is DevPanel, but it is a free service to the community. So I will show you what Drupal Forge does, and you're more than welcome to use it for development and testing. Okay. So we call it free. It's free service, like free software, for all versions of Drupal. It's disposable Drupal dev sites with or without dev environments. These sites auto-pause after 6 hours, so you can come back and unpause them, or you can extend them even after 6 hours if you like. If you don't use them for like 7 days, then they get deleted. Okay. You can invite your team, and you can work together on the site. So you can do like pair programming. You can share the URL with other people. You can take your site, you can deploy it to any VPS you want. And that's the VPS you own. So there's some work involved. You have to actually go out and buy the VPS. You have to set up an SSH key. You have to share the SSH key on Drupal Forge, and then Drupal Forge will deploy it for you. Okay? And then the nice thing is, once you deploy the site to your VPS, you can use that as your production site. Okay? It's your VPS. Use it as a production site. On Drupal Forge, your site goes to sleep after 6 hours. Keep that site as your dev site. Okay? And then wake it up whenever you want to do development. Wake it up after, whenever you're ready. You get another 6 hours. You can extend it, do development on it, and then redeploy it to your production site. Okay? So that's the good benefit of doing it like that. So you can maintain your Drupal Forge site as your dev site. Okay.
Sorry, what's the difference between extending or re-waking it up?
Extending it is, good question. So there's a timer, there's a 6 hour timeout on every time you start a site on Drupal Forge, there's a 6 hour timer. When you're in that last hour, okay, you can click on, there's an icon, you can click on it and you can get another 6 hours. Okay. So you can top it off essentially. So every time you go, actually it's not even an hour. So every time you go below 6 hours, you can be at like 3 hours or something, and you can click on that icon and it tops off to 6 hours.
So it's not like there's a requirement of like downtime between the previous 6 hours.
Right, exactly. So if you're still working on it, you just go back and you top it off to 6 hours, and it just tops off to 6 hours.
Okay.
So it's like a gas tank. If it goes down, you just click on the icon and it goes back up to 6 hours. So yeah, it's a 6 hour gas tank, basically. And then after 6 hours, when it automatically pauses, you can come back later and you can unpause it. If you don't use it for a week, then it gets deleted. So right now, it's a nonprofit. One of the things we're talking about is a self-sustaining plan. So there will be a paid plan in the future. Right now, there's no paid plan. And the paid plan will be like, if you pay, then your site won't get deleted after 7 days. Right? So you can keep it forever, essentially. So, and that's basically to cover the cost of hosting. Okay. So, you guys want a live demo?
Sure.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I screw this up or not. It always happens, right? You always screw up the live demo. All right, so this is Drupal Forge. I'm going to refresh the page. Yes, I can get to it. This is a widget, okay, for Express Launch. Then there's all these different versions. We call them templates. Okay? And so there's Backdrop even, there's Civi CRM, there's the Umami with all the content. If you guys have recipes, or if you build a recipe, Yeah? We want to see your recipe here so people can try it out. Yeah? So we would love to see education recipe for schools, right? We would love to see something for, for government or whatever, right? So if you guys are for membership sites, right? So if you guys are developing recipes, we'd love to work with you and put it on here. And this just lets people try it, and if they want to, they can deploy it to their own server. Yeah? Yeah?
And what would be the process of getting a recipe on here?
Contact us.
Okay.
Yeah, just contact us. So this is the express launch for Drupal CMS. If you want Drupal 11, for example, you click over here and it goes to the page for Drupal 11. This is the express launch for Drupal 11. And then down here there is different versions of different ways of launching Drupal 11. Okay? So this is for site builders, this is for developers. If you want a persistent site, then you want this. You want the for developers. Okay? This gives you a persistent site. If you just want to try something out, right, you do the express launch. Right? And I'll show you how that works. So let's go to the home page. It's slightly different, and you can tell me what you think of this express launch. So here's how this express launch works. Okay? This express launch is on our clusters running on the back end. Okay? It's not running in your browser, it's running on our cluster. So you can tell us what you think of it, right? So you say you're not a robot, right? And then you click on express launch and you wait and you wait and you wait and it's ready. Okay? So we say less than 10 seconds, but it usually takes less than 5 seconds. Okay? So now your application is ready, and your login URL is here. So we give you the login URL. It's basically your login on there, and this is your admin and admin. So you can, this is your username and password, so you can log in with admin and admin. And then you get, so while this is logging in, so this logs in. Yeah.
How long the databases, do they stay with the site until it gets deleted, basically?
Yeah, they just, when it goes to pause, basically the database is running in a clustered environment. So the database is just not being used. Right? The site, the compute for the site goes into a paused mode. So the database is still there, it's just not being used. You get your site, plus you get VS Code in a browser. So you go in here, ask you for the password, it's automatically generated, it's just a random string, copy it, paste it, and ta-da, ta-da, ta-da.
Wi-Fi is like VS Code and that's the build features.
The Wi-Fi is also.
So this should open up VS Code in a browser, and there it goes. And so this VS Code actually has, you can have whatever extensions you want in here. You can do debugging in here. These environments, depending on the template that you choose, can have 1 gigabyte of RAM to 4 gigabytes of RAM in the back end. I can start a new terminal in here. And if I start a terminal, let's see what it's got. So it's got Composer is built in. And so you see Composer is built in, and then and then Drush is built in. So this is ready to go. And if I go into index.php, for example, and I'll go in here and I'll put in PHP info die. So I haven't saved it. I just put this in, right? I'm going to go to the site. I'm going to reload it, and I get PHP info. Okay, so it's like using a local dev environment, but in the cloud. Okay? So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to comment this out. I go back over here, reload it, and I'm back to Drupal. Okay? So it's fully functional. It's a fully functional dev environment in the cloud, in your browser. Okay? And then this is what you get in 5 seconds. If you want a persistent, but this goes away, you can see, I go back to it, this should still show you if you ever go leave the page, it should still show you what you've got, and it'll show you the timer here. Is the time remaining? Yeah.
So say you did a bunch of development work and you composer or JSON a bunch of stuff in your repo, and now you've got custom Drupal built. Now, what do you do with it? Like, is there a way to connect Git to it?
If you know how to use Git in where did my VS Code go? If you've got the terminal, you can connect Git to it. You can do whatever you want. Right? Yeah. You can get out of there. Yeah.
Right.
So you can do whatever you like over here, right? But there's a better way. You can actually go into this, and you can say, I want it for developers, and you say launch. And if you say that, then you get a form like this. You fill out the form. You need a Drupal.org username. Okay, so you need to put in your Drupal.org username because it's basically for the community. You'll get a page like this. It says, do not close this page, because it gives you the URL. You have to save all this information. But it actually sends you an email as well. Here's your application URL. Here is your access to your workspace. Okay? And when you go to your workspace, when you click on this, give me my dev environment, you get, this is dev panel. You get your Drupal 11 here. This is your main branch. You can create other branches if you like. And this is your application. This is your VS Code in here. You generate the token. You launch the application. This launches VS Code for you. And then here you can actually go in and invite other users. You can add collaborators. You can connect a VPS to it. So if you want, connect a VPS from Linode, from DigitalOcean, from AWS, wherever, and then you can launch, deploy it. You can connect it and then deploy to it. You can do custom domains, but it's, I think it's disabled. Even if you do custom domain, it's worthless because it goes down every 6 hours. You could change, well, I guess that's disabled, but you could change container size. There's webhooks that are built in. You could create backups and download it. Automatic backups are disabled. I think they'll be enabled on the paid plan. You can look at your logs, and you can look at your activities on who did what and when. So if you have multiple users using this, you can actually see it. What is it? And this essentially is running on a cluster. Oh, here's the top off, right? So here's the gas tank. So now we've got this much time running. If I click on this, It took me to, I thought it was 6 hours. Okay, it just added. It took me to 10 hours. Let me see if I can add more. No, okay, well, 400. Okay, that's it. All right. So, yeah, so after 10 hours, this is going to get deleted. Well, no, it's going to go paused, okay? So if it goes paused, you can unpause it from here. Okay, so this says right now it's unpaused, so I can click on it, I can pause it myself, right? Or if it's, when it's automatically paused, this will say unpause, right? Should say resume, but it says unpause, right? All right. So that is the live demo for Drupal Forge. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask things. So it's mostly built on top of DevPanel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this is a nonprofit. DevPanel contributes to that nonprofit a cluster and the service, basically. This is a limited version of DevPanel.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it what?
I was wondering if there was like a lot more scripts and stuff that you had to build on top of DevPanel.
No. This is actually a limited version of DevPanel. So we have to like strip out a bunch of stuff. Yeah. How does it compare to WebAssembly?
What?
To the WebAssembly version?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you did have a WebAssembly version on your site, or maybe I was looking at somebody else's Drupal WebAssembly version. Is there a WebAssembly Drupal?
Wasn't Tim talking about that earlier this morning? I think they're talking about that being part of Drupal.org.
Yeah.
That's different.
But I don't think you can do nearly as much stuff with the WebAssembly version. It would just be a final.
Yeah, it runs in your browser. So there's pros and cons to WebAssembly. You know, it runs in your browser. It takes up so much memory, but it does not require any hosting infrastructure on the back end. So yeah. Anyways, this is Drupal Forge. It's built for our community, so feel free to use it if you like. Okay. So that was the live demo. If you guys want, you can go back to Drupal Forge how-to page. On this site, there's a how-to page with all the videos on how to actually, all the stuff that I showed you guys today. If you forget, you can go through, and it actually has detailed walkthrough on how to deploy to DigitalOcean and how to deploy to AWS Light SAL. Okay. And once you watch the DigitalOcean video, you can pretty much follow that for any other hosting company. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just the same formula. You just have to connect a VPS, buy a VPS from somebody else, connect it here, deploy it. That's it. Yeah. Okay. The next, any questions on that? So I'm just going to skip these videos. I used to show them, but I'm just going to skip
Part of
them.
it, they're really hard to see.
Yeah. So,
I've got a question, Sam.
yeah.
Did I read something about Drupal Forge and trying to have some sort of like revenue share model with module owners and
Yes.
maintainers and stuff?
Yes. Excellent question. Okay, so thank you for actually bringing that up. If you go into Drupal Forge, when we have recipes here, okay, Drupal Forge is set up as a nonprofit. Okay? We're not making revenue on it. We're not making money on it. So whatever money is left over is either going to go to the developers that are putting in recipes on this thing. It's going to go to, you know, whatever the hosting infrastructure is, or it's going to go back to the Drupal Association. So all this money, like at the end of the year, there's not going to be any, like, there's going to be some operational money rolling over, but we're not keeping money from this. So the idea of this was, the way Drupal Forge got started was, we wanted people to take their work as templates, share it on Drupal Forge, and they can either sell it, they can share it for free, and then sell support and sell hosting. So if you are a developer and you want to have, if you have a recipe or you have a template, more than a recipe, you have something that you want to sell, and you want to sell support. We're not going to do the support. We're not going to do the support, but if you want to sell the support for it, right, then you can distribute it through here. People can try it. They can even buy it from here. We will run the Stripe transaction. We will split the revenue, right? We can manage the hosting, right? We can manage the hosting on your cluster or our cluster, right? And then you get percentage of the revenue. Drupal Forge gets a percentage of the revenue for hosting or for managing your hosting on your cluster, and the Drupal Association will get a percentage of the revenue. So that's the model that's on the roadmap. We're not there yet. So hopefully we'll get there soon, but that's our roadmap. Thank you for bringing that up. Where did you hear about that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Darren talks about it all the time. So yeah,
That's something about him.
Darren started this. Darren heads up the project, and he came up to me originally and he said, "Can we do something like this?" And I was like, "Yeah, we could probably do it." So that's how this project actually got started, and all thanks to Darren O. So that was the inception of the project actually. So. All right, so if you guys ever forget on how to do this, it's on the how-to page. All right. Yeah.
Dev panel.
Yes.
Originally, we were supporting AWS and possibly Azure. Was there other platforms we're now supporting?
Yeah. So originally we started with AWS because we wanted to go after enterprise clients who were doing for compliance and stuff like that. We added DigitalOcean because AWS was getting really expensive for us to run our demo infrastructure. So we added AWS, and now there's some customers that came to us and said they wanted Azure. So we've added Azure now. And Azure is just in very early stages right now, and we're testing it out with a customer.
No plans for Google Cloud at all?
There are plans for Google Cloud, but if somebody's interested, come to us. We're not going to do it without a customer. So we always, whenever we do it with the customer. So we actually have a live project that we're working towards, and we're a small company, so we'd like to be paid for doing the work. So. But that's essentially Google Cloud is on the horizon, and so are other things. But yeah, that's okay. Any questions on this? Good questions. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so Dev Panel, you guys actually saw a demo of it because that's what was being used behind the scene. You can manage your own cloud on AWS, Azure, DigitalOcean, create an account on Dev Panel, connect your account to your Dev Panel account. You can create unlimited sites, unlimited branches, unlimited applications, invite collaborators, developers, admins, contractors. You can manage your custom domains. We'll generate free SSL and manage that for you using Let's Encrypt. It's auto-scaling clusters. We use Kubernetes on the back end. So all your clusters grow and shrink automatically, so you save a lot of money. And you're paying, if you're using your own infrastructure, you pay AWS, DigitalOcean, Azure directly. We don't take a cut. A lot of big companies have discount plans with all these infrastructure providers, so you save a ton of money that way as well. And usually for Dev Panel, it's generally a flat fee that you just pay. And so it's something you can budget for. So this is essentially how you connect your infrastructure to Dev Panel. It's just 2 or 3 steps. And select your cloud provider, and then you get a workspace. Inside the workspace, you can create projects from scratch, or you can create projects from template. This is what our project looks like. And then inside a project, you can have many branches. You can create as many branches as you want. Inside each branch, you get all this functionality inside of each branch. You can pause any of the branches. So if you have dev environments, you can pause your dev environments, save money that way. You have a cloud dev environment here. So you can open up VS Code, you can open up phpMyAdmin, you can create webhooks, etc. And you guys already saw this, so cloud dev environments or the IDE comes built in with Composer and Drush, phpMyAdmin, custom domains, you can attach custom domains. We manage certificates for you, or you can upload your own certificates. And then you can invite collaborators as admins or developers. And then these are templates. So out of the box, we give you a bunch of templates, and then if you as an organization have your own templates that you want your users to use, then you click on add a template, and then you can add your own templates there that's only available to your organization.
Can you remove these templates if you don't want?
Yeah. There's different ways to do templates. You can deploy a template, or you can, for each of the template, there are two possibilities. You can deploy a template, or you can develop a template. If you develop a template, then you get a clone of the repo, right? So you can actually modify it. If you deploy a template, then it's the repo, you don't get a clone, you just get a container off the repo. So if you change the code on the repo, all the sites can change from that repo. Right? So depending on how you want to structure your sites, if you want to create essentially a fork or something, you can actually do develop, and it gives you a clone of that repo. And then you can do whatever you want with it. Or if you want to create 1,000 sites from it, you just do deploy, and then it just creates another deployment. Okay, any questions on that? Nope? Okay. That's me? Okay. Thank you. I have to tell you a story about this picture. I told my daughter, I was like, make me look good. And there was a picture of a senator. I was like, make me look like that. So this was the only time I was wearing a hat. So she found this picture of me wearing a hat. And then she took a picture from, the flag or something. She put it in the bag. And she's like, use that. So, and then my wife went nuts. She's like,
Photoshop together?
Yeah, total Photoshop, dude. And my wife just went nuts. She's like, you can't have that picture in an election year. And I'm like, why? So,
Are you running for Senate?
yeah, exactly. I'm like, and after my wife said that, then I was like, I am going to use that. Anyways, that was it. So thank you. I hope you guys learned something. And, if you guys want to try DevPanel, or definitely use Drupal Forge. If you guys want to use DevPanel, there is a free plan. You guys are welcome to use that. So, all right.
Thank you so much.